My name is Patrick Sullivan, turning 29 this year. I'm a single white-collar worker. I have a childhood dream. That is to marry a lovely lady and establish a happy family before I turn 30. When little girls say that their future dream is to become a wife, everyone raises voices saying, "How cute." But I wonder why people get taken aback when a man like me puts my desire for marriage out in the open. My parents are as close as they could embarrass me. When I go home, they treat me almost as if I'm intruding. Watching such parents growing up, I came to sincerely wish to find my lifelong partner and marry soon. I was supposed to get married much earlier, but everything has ended in failure. I'm amazed by how strong your desire to get married is, Patrick, says my senior at work, Mike Anderson, as he smokes a cigarette in the smoking area. Mike and I work at a major printing company. Mike's in sales, and I'm in the design department. We're in different departments, but we're close enough to call each other buddies. I respond to his sales with my designs. I think we probably have similar sensibilities. We communicate well with each other, making work easier. Also, the tasks that Mike brings in are often challenging, providing me with good stimulation. Exchanging information at the company smoking area has become a daily routine for us, who hang out both in private and at work. There's nothing wrong with it. Just before my goal of turning 30, I'm also desperate to make my dream come true. A party I attended the other day also ended in failure. The reason was Mike. He's so handsome that he gathered all the attention from the ladies at the party. I even asked him not to come to the party once. Well, it can't be helped. I'll introduce you to a special girl, but I'm going to tell her in advance that this is for marriage. Is that okay? Mike said while exhaling smoke from his cigarette. I've known him for a long time, but Mike has never introduced a girl to me before. It was a surprising turn of events. He must have felt sorry for me. If you're introducing me a girl, Mike, I'm sure she will be a beauty without a doubt. I'm looking forward to it, I responded. At my words, Mike raised one of his eyebrows in a slightly boastful way. Hey, you two, how long are you taking for a smoke break? You're still on the clock. Stop slacking off. My direct supervisor, Johnson, yelled from across the smoking area. He's the head of the design department, but he doesn't carry much authority. He's been experiencing a series of defeats in competitions recently, and he's not very well respected within the company. Mike and I are a team with one of the highest sales records in the company. There are many who are envious of us. Johnson is one of the biggest of them. Well, no matter what the reason, it's not a good idea to be targeted by the boss. I quickly stubbed out my cigarette in the ashtray and put it out. Mike, I'm counting on you for the introduction. We can go into details later. I said that, then left the smoking area. Mike gave a casual sure, raising one hand. He quickly started fiddling with his cell phone, which made me think he might be contacting the person he's introducing me to. Thinking about that makes my heart swell with anticipation. I can't help but hope that this time, the fated encounter is waiting for me. My chest was filled with hope. And then, the very next moment, I hit rock bottom. On the conference table, there were shop cards and postcards for the new line of a major clothing brand I had designed. Standing in front of me were the division chief and Johnson. Can you explain what happened here? It was a mistake in color correction. Apparently, there were changes since the time I had a meeting. No report had come up to me, the main designer. In fact, there was no evidence that a report had come up to my team at all. I didn't receive any reports about changes in color correction. I clearly stated, being blamed for something I have no memory of didn't sit well with me. It doesn't matter anymore. How are we going to deal with all these that have been printed? We don't have time to make new ones. Who's going to apologize? None of that matters now, said Johnson. I thought, it does matter. But I also realized that we didn't have time to argue if we wanted to minimize the impact on the client. Regardless, our only option is to reprint. I insisted, but the printing presses. Johnson began. He was trying to say that the press wasn't available for reprinting. It was his job to sort that out. Just then, the conference room door was flung open. I got the printer. Hurry up with the design. Mike's head popped in through the door. He had apparently sprung into action as soon as he heard about the incident. What a reliable senior he is. Prompted by Mike's voice, I quickly grabbed a new color correction data and sample, then hurried to my team's desk. "You're going to take responsibility," Johnson shouted after me as I darted away, repeating it like a broken record. The fact that we managed to get the client to delay the delivery date by 2 days was all thanks to Mike's efforts. But Johnson seemed to be reporting all the credit to himself. It was typical, but still bothersome. The remaining issue was the misprinted deliveries. Who was going to take the fall for this error? It seemed to be me to take responsibility. That day, as I was frantically working on a new design, it seems Johnson reported to the upper management, including the director, that the error was due to my oversight as the team leader. Johnson insists that my signature was on the color correction document. By the way, that document is currently missing. Now that this whole commotion is over, I am being asked to voluntarily resign at a meeting in the CEO's office. Voluntary resignation. I couldn't help but repeat it in surprise. The reasons given were the extensive damages caused to the company and my inability to follow the basics: reporting, communication, and consultation. Even such trivial things were being nitpicked. Probably, as a result of Johnson reporting anything and everything to the higher-ups, it was decided that I was the culprit. By offering my head to the client, they aimed to sweep this mistake under the rug. I could sense that kind of intention from above. At this point, I have absolutely no options. You can take some time to consider this. Just keep in mind we're expecting a positive response, they said. Stunned by what was essentially a layoff notice, I could hardly react. Just when I was about to be introduced to a potential bride by Mike tomorrow, I received this resignation notice and am on the verge of becoming jobless. In this situation, it's irresponsible to say let's date with marriage in mind. I will apologize to Mike and cancel the introduction for tomorrow. That was what I was thinking. But Mike just brushed it off, saying it didn't matter. Don't look so glum. I'm going to take you to a great place to lift your spirits, he said. There's no way Mike doesn't know about my layoff notice. Before I could refuse, Mike was grinning like a mischievous boy, arm over my shoulder. He practically dragged me to a certain location. It was a world I'd never stepped foot into. A night pool at a certain hotel. It's a popular place and requires reservations. Of course, no one under 18 is allowed. The lighting and music create a different atmosphere than during the day. Today, there's a DJ, so it's more upbeat rather than moody. There's alcohol, so it seems like the perfect place to forget my troubles. I've never been to a place like this before. I was overwhelmed by the sight unfolding before my eyes. Girls in revealing swimsuits were happily walking past. Just watching them was a feast for the eyes. I know you've got a lot on your plate, but just try to enjoy tonight. You can worry about everything else tomorrow. I figured that was his way of offering comfort. I'll think about tomorrow when it comes. I decided to enjoy the time being. Mike quickly disappeared somewhere, having been called over by a girl. The popular guys always have it good, wherever they are. I couldn't muster up the courage to approach any of the girls, let alone be approached by any of them. It was such a waste to just space out by the poolside. I decided to make the most out of the pool itself. I resolved to just swim. I love swimming, and being underwater was soothing. The strange sensation of swimming while listening to music and the sounds of excitement was oddly calming. At that moment, something colorful floated slowly towards me, stopping right before my nose. Picking it up with my fingers, I examined the object that had barely brushed my nose. It was a bikini top, and the moment I realized it, I felt as if my face was on fire. If it was here, that meant its owner was. I started looking around frantically, thinking she must be embarrassed. Then, a woman, only her head visible above the water, came up to me, her face flushed with embarrassment. That's mine. She hesitated, pointing at the bikini top I held in my hand. Oh, sorry. It just floated over. I hurriedly handed her the bikini top. Will you take responsibility for what you've seen? She asked shyly, requesting I shield her back from view while she put her bikini top back on. Without a second thought, I hid her from view. My friend pushed me so hard on the water slide, I went flying. I was so scared. After putting her bikini top back on, she laughed at the memory. Her radiant smile was incredibly charming. "Mary, did you find it?" A voice, probably her friend's, called out to her from a distance. The woman called Mary answered, "I found it," in a voice that carried over the music. "Thanks, you saved me. You're quite the gentleman." She poked me in the forehead with a slender finger. Startled, I froze in place, and she chuckled softly. "See you," she said, leaving me frozen in place as she swam off towards her friends. I blankly watched her slender, white back as she swam away. "Oh, you've already met. That's her." "Oh, Mike, what do you mean?" Mike, who was squatting by the poolside with a cocktail in one hand, was even cool from a guy's perspective. "I was going to introduce you to her. Her name is Mary Newson." He told me that she was his childhood friend. They were from the same hometown, and she was like a little sister to him. "She's also very interested in getting married, just like you. You're the same age, so I thought you'd get along. It's better to have someone with similar values, right?" Hearing that she was the one I was supposed to meet tomorrow, feelings of happiness and disappointment welled up inside me at the same time. I am a man about to be unemployed. I was certainly not in a situation suitable for marriage. She too has a strong desire to get married. There's no way she would consider me, a guy who's not suited for marriage. I think the best option would have been to turn down Mike right here and now. But I wanted to see her just one more time. She was that captivating. Am I good enough for her? I mean, she's a good friend from your childhood, right? My question was drowned out by the loud music. It didn't seem to reach his ears. The next day, I headed to the designated Chinese restaurant. I was set to have lunch in a private room. It's a famous place for dim sum lunch, and you can't get in without a reservation. I'm grateful for Mike's connections. It seems I arrived first and was led to an empty private room. I was a bit nervous. Nothing has been officially decided about my situation yet. The company is insistent on it being a voluntary resignation. Either way, it's disappointing, but considering Mary's future, I should honestly convey this and decline. That's what I had decided in my heart. Your companion has arrived. I was told this quietly, and I straightened my back. My nervousness peaked. The woman who entered, making the sound of heels, was someone I had never seen before. She gave a small nod to the waiter and sat down on the chair. Watching her flowing movement, I felt she was used to being served. I was introduced by Mike. "My name is Mary Newson." She said this and smiled at me. She seemed like a woman with some kind of shadow, and her age was unclear. She seemed young, but also looked older than me. After finishing the drink order and the waiter left the private room, I raised my voice. "Excuse me, you aren't really Mary Newson, are you?" Then the woman who had been smiling gracefully until a moment ago clicked her tongue. "Well, it's obvious. We met last night. Even though it was dark, Mary and I are as different as night and day," she said in a defiant manner, and introduced herself as Jennifer Smith. She claimed to be an old friend from the same hometown as Mike and Mary. It seems that it was her who had called out to Mary last night. Today, she said she had come as a stand-in at Mary's request. She didn't really want to be introduced. "Okay, whether you're Mary or not, there's something I have to say." I talked about my imminent voluntary resignation and bowed my head, asking her to pretend this introduction never happened. Jennifer pulled out a portable vaporizer from her bag and slowly exhaled the smoke. "But that's not what I'm here to talk about." Ignoring my desperate explanations, Jennifer asked for my help. She wanted to talk about two people, Mike and Mary. These two had always been close, but not too close. More than friends but not quite lovers, as they say. The reason their relationship wasn't moving forward was because of Mike. When we all went to the summer fair together, Mike's mother disappeared. Mike has been waiting for her ever since. Apparently, this incident traumatized him, and he's had a hard time trusting women since then. Sure enough, Mike, despite being quite popular, never seemed to stick with one woman. He welcomed all who came and never chased after those who left. That was the nature of Mike's relationships with women. "I want you to help them get together," said Jennifer, looking straight into my eyes. Seeing my hesitation, she slid a business card across the table. The name of the company that had caused a problem the other day was on the card. Her title was Group Owner. I looked at the card and were in shock. "If you help me, we can pretend your mistake never happened." I extended my right hand at this enticing offer. "Understood. Leave it to me." We shook hands, confirming our alliance. I got a full briefing of Jennifer's plan and decided to put it into action right away. Jennifer contacted Mary first. She told Mary, with a hint of panic, "Everything's been exposed." She then convincingly portrayed me as furious and uncontrollable. "Sorry, I'll be right there," I heard from the other end. I called up Mike and gave him a piece of my mind. With a level of assertiveness you wouldn't usually expect from me, I told him how disrespectful it was to use a stand-in. Mike agreed to come right away and the call ended. They seem complicated, but they are actually simple and honest, Jennifer remarked. Before the pair arrived, we hurriedly finished up our dim sum. We didn't want to waste our food. We both laughed as we burned our tongues on the hot dumplings. There was something oddly comfortable about the whole situation. "Your guests have arrived," a waiter announced as the peach buns and mango pudding were being served. Jennifer clicked her tongue in front of the enticing desserts. She must have been really looking forward to them. Wiping her mouth with a napkin, Jennifer gave a mischievous grin and said, "All right, let's start." "Jennifer, are you okay?" Mike burst into the private room. Looking at his face, Jennifer brought on the waterworks in less than 5 seconds. I was left dumbstruck by her Oscar-worthy performance. "Mary doesn't want to be set up, but it's out now." He said it in such an incredibly angry manner. Crying, Jennifer implored Mike. Behind Mike, Mary stood frozen, her hand over her mouth in surprise. Enough with the mockery, using a stand-in. If you didn't want the introduction, why do you accept it in the first place? You just wanted to laugh at my strong desire to marry, didn't you? With all the acting skills I could muster, I shouted at Mary, who was standing frozen behind Mike. Mary's shoulders jerked in fright. Mike immediately moved to shield Mary with his back. Jennifer, looking down, gave a faint smile. It was a strangely sad smile. "Calm down, man. Don't shout at a woman," Mike retorted. You're no better, Mike. Why would you introduce such a woman using a stand-in because she didn't want to come? Is that the type of woman you thought would suit me? A mean-spirited woman?" I didn't hold back on shouting at Mike either. I've never been this confrontational with anyone in my life. Mike seemed taken aback by my onslaught, unable to find his words. Perhaps because I'm usually so polite, he must have thought I was truly enraged today. "Mary, why don't you want the introduction? You want to get married, right? So why not me? Why do you dislike the introduction so much? It's so mean to use a stand-in." I tried to appeal to Mary, who was looking at me in fear from behind Mike. Her expression began to distort as if she was about to start crying. In the next moment, she bowed so deeply her forehead almost touched her knees. "I'm sorry. I thought that if I agreed to the introduction, Mike would stop it. I only pretended to be desperate for marriage in front of him. I didn't mean to hurt you." Tears spilled from Mary's eyes. "If you're in love with someone, please don't agree to any introductions. It's a nuisance." The moment I took a step towards Mary, Mike grabbed my collar. "Don't keep saying terrible things to Mary. I'm the one who brought up the introduction, not her. She did nothing wrong." I had to stand on tiptoes as tall Mike grabbed my collar. When I glanced at Jennifer, begging for help, she clenched her fist and silently mouthed, "Good luck." I wish she wouldn't make impossible demands. Just when I thought I might pass out from the strain, it was Mary who came to my rescue. "Mike, stop it. It's my fault. I should have refused the introduction when it came up. I thought you were testing me, so I went along with the introduction, intending to cause you trouble." Upon hearing Mary's confession, Mike let go of my collar. I fell back on my butt. "This is a big inconvenience to me, being used as a pawn. Mike, it's about time you gave in." The one who spoke to the bewildered Mike was Jennifer. It's a real nuisance to everyone that those two, obviously in love with each other, keep missing each other. Moreover, they're both so attractive. The fallout is extensive. Spurred by Jennifer's words, Mike reached out and held Mary's hand. Then, in a soft voice, he said, "Is it really okay if it's me?" It was a more juvenile voice than I'd ever heard from the Mike I knew. Mary, with a tearful smile, gently embraced Mike, saying, "Of course it is." It felt like Mike's clock had started ticking again from that summer festival night. "Now, please, go home, you two. We're going to eat some peach dumplings and mango pudding." Jennifer, who had burst into tears just 5 seconds ago, was already sitting back comfortably in her chair, smoking a hookah and crossing her legs. Seeing her like this, Mike quickly realized that this was all an act. Mary seemed to be savoring the happiness of confirming her mutual feelings with Mike, completely oblivious to the farce. "Patrick, sorry for all the trouble." "Thank you," Mike said over his shoulder, hugging Mary as they were about to leave the room. I waved a large hand, sending a silent best of luck as I saw them off. Once they were out of sight, I suddenly felt all the exhaustion flooding over me. "Jennifer, you had it pretty easy," I said with a side glance at Jennifer, who was enjoying her peach dumplings. "Don't be ridiculous. I lost something valuable. I'm the real victim here," Jennifer said with a straight face. Even I, oblivious as I am, could tell that she must have had feelings for Mike. "So, if you feel like consoling me, give me that mango pudding." "No way. I'm exhausted and I need something sweet too." So there we were, two heartbroken individuals, fighting over dessert. Timing is everything in marriage. "Just wait, and you'll find someone," Jennifer said as she punched my shoulder on the way out. I believe she was trying to cheer me up. "So, is it okay if I ask you out next time? I know a place that has amazing all-you-can-eat cake." At my words, Jennifer turned back with a surprised look and said, "I'll think about it and get back to you," laughing. Workplace trouble resolved. New potential love interest identified. I was sure that Jennifer would get back to me with a yes. I was absolutely certain of it.